Stuff. I stuffed my hands in my pockets. I hear the word stuff in daily conversations and news reports. I try to use stuff when talking about everyday situations. Detail. This issue will be discussed in more detail in Chapter 5. I hear the word detail in daily conversations and news reports. I try to use detail when talking about everyday situations. Tough. It was a very tough decision, but we feel we made the right one. I hear the word tough in daily conversations and news reports. I try to use tough when talking about everyday situations. Surface. Last year tool surfaced again in Cuba. I hear the word surface in daily conversations and news reports. I try to use surface when talking about everyday situations. Purpose. Nick had no particular purpose in mind when he started. I hear the word purpose in daily conversations and news reports. I try to use purpose when talking about everyday situations. Exist. The custom of arranged marriages still exists in many countries. Opportunities exist for students to gain sponsorship. Stop pretending that the problem doesn't exist. Pattern. Weather patterns have changed in recent years. A general pattern began to emerge. Their description seemed to follow a set pattern. Equals always develop in the same address. Send a stamped, self-addressed envelope, equals with your address on it. I hear the word so address in daily conversations and news reports. I try to use address when talking about everyday situations. Item. He opened the cardboard box and took out each item. The store is having a sale on furniture and household items. Luxury items such as exotic spices and perfumes. Coach. A tennis coach. The Norwegian national coach. I try to use coach when talking about everyday situations. Violence. There is too much sex and violence on TV these days. I hear the word violence in daily conversations and news reports. I try to use violence when talking about everyday situations. Tend. Sophia was in the bedroom tending to her son. I hear the word tend in daily conversations and news reports. I try to use tend when talking about everyday situations. Collection. A debt collection agency. I hear the word collection in daily conversations and news reports. I try to use collection when talking about everyday situations. Positive. At least something positive has come out of the situation. Write down all the positive things about your life. The rural environment was having a positive effect on the children's health. Civil. They were married in a civil ceremony in May. I hear the word civil in daily conversations and news reports. I try to use civil when talking about everyday situations. Consumer. Consumers will soon be paying higher airfares. It will offer a wider choice of goods for the consumer, equals consumers in general. Consumer demand led to higher imports of manufactured goods. Budget. We'll have to budget more carefully. This scheme enables you to budget the cost through fixed monthly payments. I try to use budget when talking about everyday situations. Victim. The victim received head injuries from which she died a week later. A credit card fraud ring that stole millions of dollars from unsuspecting victims. I try to use victim when talking about everyday situations. Responsibility. Kelly's promotion means more money and more responsibility. I hear the word responsibility in daily conversations and news reports. I try to use responsibility when talking about everyday situations. Score. Great cheers went up when he scored in the final minute of the game. She scored an average of 9.9 in the test. I try to use score when talking about everyday situations. Account. I try to use account when talking about everyday situations. I hear the word account in daily conversations and news reports. I try to use account when talking about everyday situations. Relate. I don't understand how the two ideas relate. I hear the word relate in daily conversations and news reports. I try to use relate when talking about everyday situations. Debate. The gun control debate in the U.S. The new drug has become the subject of heated debate within the medical profession. There was much lively debate about whether women should spend more time in the home. Majority. The Labour Party won a huge majority at the last general election. I hear the word majority in daily conversations and news reports. I try to use majority when talking about everyday situations. Admit. Okay, so maybe I was a little bit scared, Jenny admitted. I must admit, I didn't actually do anything to help her. Admit it. I'm right, aren't I? Senior. The senior Democrat on the House committee. White men hold most of the jobs in senior management. The senior partner in a law firm. Assume. I think we can safely assume, equals it is almost certain, when that interest rates will go up again was still not back. I began to assume I tried to use assume when talking about the everyday situation had happened. Professional. This business plan looks very professional. A more professional approach to work. I try to use professional when talking about everyday situations. Mission. He was sent on over 200 missions before being killed in action. U.S. troops taking part in the peacekeeping mission. I try to use mission when talking about everyday situations. Suffer. At least he died suddenly and didn't suffer. She's suffering a lot of pain. I try to use suffer when talking about everyday situations. Option. There are a number of options available. He had 2 options. This was not the only option open to him. Participant. 40 of the course participants are offered employment with the company. I hear the word participant in daily conversations and news reports. I try to use participant when talking about everyday situations. Global. Global climate change. The global economy. I try to use global when talking about everyday situations. Access. How do I access my app scripts? From there you feed electricity into the grid and you can access any power outlet and feed your battery. Talking about everyday situations. Relation. The price the meat is sold for bears no relation to, equals is not connected to. I hear the word relation in daily conversations and news reports. I try to use relation when talking about everyday situations. Release. Police arrested several men, who were later released. The bears are eventually released into the wild. I try to use release when talking about everyday situations. Critical. He made some highly critical remarks. I hear the word critical in daily conversations and news reports. I try to use critical when talking about everyday situations. Version. The human version of mad cow disease. I hear the word version in daily conversations and news reports. I try to use version when talking about everyday situations. Stare. She sat there staring into space, equals looking for a long time at nothing. I hear the word stare in daily conversations and news reports. I try to use stare when talking about everyday situations. Effective. The cheaper drugs are just as effective in treating arthritis. The painting's highly effective use of color. Training is often much less effective than expected. Original. The land was returned to its original owner. The kitchen still has many original features, equals parts that were there when the house was first built. Species. 7 species of birds of prey have been observed. Pandas and other endangered species. I try to use species when talking about everyday situations. Immediately. Mix in the remaining ingredients and serve immediately. The telephone rang, and he answered it immediately. I try to use immediately when talking about everyday situations. Track. Police have been tracking the 4 criminals all over Central America. I hear the word track in daily conversations and news reports. I try to use track when talking about everyday situations. Strike. She fell heavily, striking her head against the side of the boat. A snowball struck him on the back of the head. Several cars were struck by falling trees. Object. If no one objects, I would like Mrs. Harrison to be present. I hear the word object in daily conversations and news reports. I try to use object when talking about everyday situations. Attitude. As soon as they found out I was a doctor, their whole attitude changed. I hear the word attitude in daily conversations and news reports. I try to use attitude when talking about everyday situations. Refer. In his speech, he referred to a recent trip to Canada. I hear the word refer in daily conversations and news reports. I try to use refer when talking about everyday situations. Concept. A new concept in business travel. Are basic concepts of decent human behavior. It's very simple, once you grasp the concept. Client. A meeting with an important client. I hear the word client in daily conversations and news reports. I try to use client when talking about everyday situations.